Because if you get this study, and the study, let's say the study says, it wasn't that bad. There have been serious problems, but nothing too serious. Now, you talking about reparations. Let's break some hard truths down. Sick and tired of hearing reparations. I'm all for reparations. Don't get me wrong, all day, every day. How? That's what you need to understand. How? What do y'all think? You think the rally did anything for reparations? Is that what you think did? What do you think is doing something for reparations? Let's just list off a list. Museums, I don't know, TikToks, Twitter spaces. You know, them love Twitter spaces. We'll waste hours in a Twitter space talking about not a goddamn thing. What you doing? What you think is doing something for reparations? For this, right? This is the goal, right? Reparations. What do you think is doing something for reparations? I'm just curious. How do you think reparations is gonna get passed? Let's list off the allies that we have. Possible allies, PA, right? Possible allies. Mexicans, whites, Asians, Africans. We'll say Africans, right? Who else we got? Mexicans, whites, Asians, Africans. That's the majority of the country for the most part. Of the potential allies, how many have convert to actual allies, right? AA. Who are our actual alliances? Now, when I mean actual alliances, and we'll say gays, the alphabet. We'll say alphabet, bruh. We'll say the alphabet, because they're their own thing, bruh. They're their own thing. The G Mafia. Now, who are our actual alliances? People who have Black Americans back. We'll even put Native Americans. Which group is our actual alliance for Black Americans? This is our goal, right? Reparations. Okay. So in order to have reparations, we're gonna have to have some backing. That's how shit works. That's how shit has always worked. I see Native Americans. Okay, Pound Cake put Native Americans. All right, Native Americans. That would make sense, right? Because they got reparations, right? They had their casinos and their land. Hispanics. Okay, so the Mexicans, Hispanics. All right, Mexicans, Hispanics. Okay, these are our actual allies. All right, I love it. Mexican, Hispanics. Okay, this is what people are saying in the chat. The whites. Okay, someone said whites. All right, the whites are our actual allies. Okay, the whites. You think some Africans. Okay, some Africans. So Africans. Okay, all right. Our actual allies, Native Americans, Hispanics, whites, and Africans. Okay, great. This is awesome. We have our actual allies. Now, here's the big question. Out of our actual allies, how many of them support reparations? Reparations, we'll put rep. Sorry, writing with my mouse, so it's a little hard. How of them support reparations for Black Americans who are descendants of slaves in the form, right, of cash payment? All right, out of our actual allies, which group supports reparations for Black Americans in the form of cash payment? All ears, because we found our actual allies. Hispanics, where was this documented? Can you give me any poll, any data, or anything? Africans, give me some facts on this. Africans, where did this come from? Where did Africans say they support reparations for Black Americans? Because the ones that I see in the spotlight are saying, well, Africans should get some reparations as well. So who supports reparations for Black Americans in the form of cash payments? Some Africans, we can't work on some. Now, that's fine, right? That's fine. So out of our actual allies, we don't really have some. I see some Africans, we'll say some. No one group for sure has our back, right? Well, in this regard, we'll say some, because you guys are saying some Africans, some, yeah, we'll just put some. Whatever that means, some. You know, Afantude, your fucking neighbor or some shit. Some. Okay, some. That's, gotcha, some. Some from everyone, gotcha, okay, gotcha. Then we don't need them anyway. We don't need any of these groups to support cash payments from Black Americans who are descendants of slaves. Because you want to know why? We have something that's called government. And at the end of the day, the government can force all of these groups to do whatever the they want to do, whether they like it or not. But as I was saying, Republicans, Democrats, who is for reparations, who've come out and say, hey, we are the party for reparations. From my understanding, Democrats have specifically said, not a few Democrats, not a couple of Democrats, the DNC has come out and be like, nah, we don't endorse reparations. But let's say, if we were to get them, let's say it's through Democrats. Let's say DNC, bro. Now, out of the DNC, who do we know that is pro reparations for Black Americans, right? Let's go back up here. Out of the DNC, who do we know is for this? Because this is how shit works, right? Is AOC for a reparation for Black Americans who are descendants of slaves in the form of cash payments? Because I haven't heard anything from her talking about about reparations. I know Marianne Williams. Okay. I know Marianne Williams, right? Marianne Williams. Now, what weight does Marianne Williams hold in the Democrat Party, right? Because we have to look, okay, what do we have? Who do we have on our team? You know, what power do they hold? Sheila Jackson Lee. Is Sheila Jackson Lee for reparations? Sheila Jackson Lee. Okay. She's flaky. They have it on their websites. Their website? Who has it on their website? The DNC? The Progressives. Oh yeah, this is Progressive Magazine. We'll take your word for it. Progressives. Some of the progressives. Okay. All right. We got people who are for it. So now we have to deduct influence, right? Influence, power. Influence / power. Progressives, I'm not sure as far as what, I'm not familiar with the progressives having power in the DNC. Sheila Jackson, I think she has some influence. Marianne Williams, not sure what Marianne Williams' power or influence she has in the DNC. But let's say Sheila Jackson. Let's say, just say Sheila. Sheila, and we'll say just progressives. Sheila Jackson is not for them, bruh? Someone just told me she is. Let's find out. Action on bill to study U.S. reparations says a commission is needed not just to recommend monetary compensation, but to help Americans come to grips with the legacy of slavery. Okay. I don't have a problem with the study. That's fine. Push for reparations. Okay, great. Awesome. Now, we got two people. Two people we got. Now, here's what we have to figure out. We got this, right? We've gotten this far. Look how far we made it, bro. Look how far we made it, right? Right? We saw the races. Right? Then we got the government. We made it to two people. Or two groups, we'll say. We'll say Sheila Jackson is one person. And then progressives. Progressives within the Democrat. All right. They have some power. She created HR 40, the study for U.S. reparations. The problem is, what type of reparations is she asking for? Now, this is where it comes in. This is where it comes in. You guys, I'm going off of what you guys said. Black Americans cash payment. Now, if she's for that, we're going to say sure. Now we have to go into how much. Is it just cash payments, right? Just cash? Just money? Or can there be other things? How long does it last? All of this. Now, all of this, I assume, would come from the bill that's being proposed, or that was proposed, that they're trying to move forward, right? The studying of reparations, of the impact that it's had. So you have to look into how any of this is helping either Sheila Jackson or the progressives. Now, as we also know, is how do we make sure they don't go back on their word? Because I showed a video where Marianne Williamson said one number, and then in the same breath, she said another number. Because then we have to look into, well, who is conducting this study? That's what you also have to understand. Who is conducting the study? Because as we saw in LA, when it came to the council, well, it's heavily dependent on who's on the council. Because if you have a bunch of blacks on the council, well, then now it's, you're screwed before you even begin. So we have to make sure all of this is going to be coming correct. Because if you get this study, and the study, let's say the study says, it wasn't that bad. There have been serious problems, but nothing too serious. And all deserve is $1,200. Let's see, right? $1,200. Now, let's say that's what the study says. That's what the study says. Because the study, I don't think the study is going to give a dollar amount. If I'm not mistaken, I think the study is to look at the impacts of slavery and how it's negatively impacted. Now, from that, they're going to extrapolate a dollar amount, I would assume. From that, based off the damages that has been reported in this report, I think a fair and adequate amount will be blah, 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 blah. What if this is too low? We only have two people, or we have one group, the progressives. I don't know anyone in particular who's for Black Americans who are descendants of slaves getting cash payments. Sheila Jackson is for the studying. I don't know. That can change. All of this can change. Just because you may be for the studying or believe that Black Americans should get cash payments, that doesn't dictate how much they will or how much you would advocate for. Casey Get Money says cash payments and or tax exemption in land. Okay. Now, have any of these two people talked about tax exemption and land? I'm unaware of Sheila Jackson talking about tax exemption and or land for Black Americans who are descendants of slaves. I'm unaware of any progressives talking about tax exemption or land for Black Americans who are descendants of slaves. Now, when it comes to like a Dr. Phil, or when it comes to any of these episodes, right? It's very important. I think it's good to have the conversation out in the open, but if all we have right now are these two people and we have a litany of attacks, this isn't really the best situation to go into battle. This isn't the best situation to go into battle. I'm just going off of the chat on what you guys said. From my knowledge, I'm unaware of Sheila Jackson saying anything about any land or any significant amount of cash payments. I'm unaware of that. You guys said Sheila Jackson, no, she's with it. She's about it. And then one of you guys said about the progressives. I'm unaware of the progressives ever talking about reparations in the form of cash payments, specifically and solely to Black Americans who are descendants of slaves. I'm unaware of that. We're gonna need a little bit more than Sheila Jackson and whatnot. That's what you're just gonna need. You're just gonna need more people for this fight, because you have to understand all of the Republicans' money is going in stopping anything regarding any type of reparations. All of the money. I mean, like a good chunk of the money will go in to putting out ads, anything and everything to try and stop this conversation from happening. So that's what you're dealing with. She never said anything about the type of reparations we should get, just a study of it. Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, so this is for a study. Now, as we know, what's heavily important is what comes out of this study, how they conduct this study, and furthermore, after the study is done, what is extracted from this study. Now, do we know how long this study is going to be conducted? Because what you also have to take into account is where they will screw you. That's what you also have to take into account. I think many people are underestimating this very, very massive principle, which has been proven throughout history, where these ignorants will attempt to screw you. So with this study, that's a surefire way of screwing people. Depending on what comes out of the study, right? Because let's say the study takes, how long is the study going to be conducted? These are things you have to think about. You have to ask yourself, because at the end of the day, this is what it's in the back of their head. We'll put little fucking demon things, right? Boom. Screw you. This is at the back. This is at the end of the day, this is what you're dealing with. So if you only have, right, these two people, progressives and Sheila Jackson, how do you think this is gonna happen, bro? I'm just saying, where do you think is gonna come from it? What I'm suggesting, what I'm telling you, is that they are gonna probably, more than likely, given that there's no one who's gonna co-sign this study, right? I don't know anyone. I'm very curious of how they're gonna, as far as pick the people who are gonna conduct this study. I see them either screwing up the study, or the study taking forever, or not happening, or getting, hey, we're still working on it. We're still going through things. So infinity with the study, they get some bull crap, some BS results. What happens afterwards? Where it's like, what, the study, based off the study, they don't deserve that much. Now, this is just a study. I don't have a problem with that, because we need a study to base something off of, right? Hey, the reason why we think black Americans deserve $3,800 or $500, whatever it is is because of this study. I just find it interesting. These mofos always want to say some shit, but don't call in. I'm all ears, bruh. 18 months from the date of the first meeting. If this legislation were to be enacted, the commission would be required to conduct its study for 18 months. So 18 months. 18 months. Okay, that's how long. So now we know. So the study will be conducted 18 months. That's how long it will be if this gets passed. After the 18-month period, the commission would submit a report to Congress that includes its findings and recommendations for appropriate remedies to redress the harm inflicted on African Americans by slavery and its legacy. Now, did you hear what that said? After the 18-month period, the commission would submit a report to Congress that includes its findings and recommendations for appropriate remedies to redress the harms inflicted on African Americans by slavery and its legacy. Nowhere in this bill does it talk about any cash payments, because this is the bill to see, right, recommend appropriate ways to educate the American public of the commission's findings, appropriate remedies, in consideration of the commission's findings of the matters described in subparagraphs. Nowhere does it say that the appropriate remedy for what they find in this study will be cash payments, which leads us back to, as I said, screw you. This is the facts of the situation. Now, of course, you can say, well, Lucas, if one of the remedies for what they find, the harms inflicted on African Americans by slavery and its legacy is, they say cash payments and land, that's possible. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. That upon this study being conducted for 18 months, they can say, hey, Black Americans are entitled to, what do you think? Because we understand this is politics, right? What do you think? Now, once again, I hope people understand what a recommendation is. I hope people understand what a recommendation is. If I say, hey, I recommend you to do this, is there anything being forced upon you, right, by law that says you must? Is there any consequence for you not taking my recommendation? Is there any repercussion for you not adhering to my recommendation? I'm just saying, you have to understand what they're saying. And they're sending it to Congress. What is Congress a part of? What do we have in Congress, right? The House and the Senate. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, they can very well find in the study, the 18-month study, that, hey, all Black Americans are entitled to $1.2 million in money and 40 acres of land. Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Is that what you think? I'm just curious. Is that what you think they're going to come out with this 18-month study? So I'm trying to find out who will be the commission members. The commission will be comprised of 15 members appointed by the President of the United States, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the Majority Leader of the Senate, the Chair of Congressional Black Caucus, and the Chair of the National African American Reparations Commission. This is from the document. This is from the bill, bro. This is from the legislation. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just letting you know. Y'all can say whatever you like, because you have to understand, you need allies. That's what you need. You need people who are willing to go to bat for you to make sure shit is not going to go south. And listen, if you don't have people who are willing to go to bat for you, that's fine. Because all you would need are Black Americans. That's fine. All you would need are Black Americans. But in order to get Black Americans, you're going to have to organize. 1619 and 1865 to establish a commission to study and consider a national apology and proposal for reparations for the institution of slavery. Institution of slavery. But it's a little bit more than slavery, though. But okay. Those who get it, get it. Those who don't. But if you're going to survive, you got to get better at the political game. You got to get better at the political game. Because every other group has issues that they're dealing with that they care about. And every other group is worried about, hey, Native Americans, how does this benefit Native Americans? How does this benefit Africans? Now that you have the old African versus FBA bullshit, Ukraine got checks. Ukraine is motherfucking white. If you are saying that we live in a goddamn racist, anti-black country, why the fuck are you bringing up goddamn Ukraine in a conversation about black Americans getting reparations? I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize. Oh God, y'all give me headaches, bruh.